Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host Matt, and with me this week is our resident gaming journalist Eli.
How's everyone doing?
Our pro gamer Mike.
You know what? Now I can't remember my quote, so I'm very mad at you, Matt. I'm in the middle of this game right now. All right.
God damn it, Matt. One other person to prepare.
Damn it, Peter. Okay.
And our retro aficionado Unoclay.
I've been expecting you, my brethren.
No thanks, bro. Sorry, okay, it's referencing the news. It's a Resident Evil 7 great quote from Resident Evil 4, excuse me. Hi, guys.
Yeah, I was like, Clay, this is a Nintendo podcast. There's no 7. There's only 4.
Maybe there is. We'll get into that after. But first, let's go to our Games of All Time tournament.
By now you know the drill, but if you're some newbie just joining the show, at the start of the year, the 4 hosts of Just Another Castle each named our 8 favorite games of all time. Then, every week, 2 games go head-to-head, and the winner advances to the next round. In the end, 31 games will fall, and 1 game will rise above the rest to become Just Another Castle's official favorite game of all time. If you want to see the current brackets, head over to www.challenge.com/justanothercastle. That's challenge with an O. Also, sometimes our votes result in a tie, and you listeners can help settle the match. If you want to be part of the fun, follow Just Another Castle or the Mango Viking on Twitter, and you might get tagged to throw a tie-breaking vote. Leave luck to the heavens, and leave the pasta casserole to Matt's sister.
Oh, it's really cool. It's really cool.
So last week was Donkey Kong Country 2 versus Shadow of the Colossus, and it was a tie between, it was a tie and our... Actually, I don't remember who broke the tie, because I have outdated information on my list.
One of the list broke the tie, but I don't remember who.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
All I remember is Sam didn't vote for the other game I had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what?
But the tie went out in Shadow of the Colossus' favor, so...
That makes no sense. Are you sure?
Yes.
You have there's no evidence to back this up.
Let me just say, I think I have one game that hasn't made it to the second round yet.
Yeah, you're a jerk.
By the way, who voted for Shadow of the Snooze Fest? Who voted for this?
Let me just say that my games are powerhouses. Okay,
yeah. You're kidding.
I craft the best games.
All my games are at least fun. Eli, you give out literally HD remakes of garbage. Okay.
Some harsh words in
doesn't matter. I mean, I'm gonna win the overall tournament, so who cares? But my pawns die. My rooks and queens are alive. Who cares?
Nice analogy.
All right. It was Sam. It was Sam that said Shadow of the Colossus. It was someone else.
Shout out to Sam. Even though he voted against the game I voted for, I give a shout out to an old IGNer. So what up? So there you go.
All right.
FIGN.
And this week
it used to exist.
This week's combatants are Super Mario World versus Henry Hatsworth. So that is Mike's choice versus Unoclay's choice.
You know this, Mike. We have to go head to head once again.
All right, so
I'll go first. I mean, this is the easy clap. So I mean, if you want me to,
so we'll start you off in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, like I said, easy clap. No, that's it. Not playing. All right, first off, I don't even know the game I have to defend against, so let it be that not only is this Mario the king of platforms, but this is the king of platformers, king of game of platformers, aka his royal freaking crown, Super Mario World. Introduction to Yoshi, okay, where you got second player Luigi, aka he's just a green sprite of Mario until they updated that when they remade it for the GBA. But some of the best level designs I ever played, a lot more past the regular game. There's even a secret world past the secret world, and I mentioned Yoshi, right? But yeah, don't forget those infamous Boo House levels. That's right, those levels are good enough on their own to be their own game. Well, wait, they made Luigi's Mansion out of it. How good it was! Yeah, that's right, I tied that in. But yeah, Super Mario World, best Mario game of all time, no contest.
There you go.
Bang.
Some strong words.
Dang. I don't know if it's best of all time in the Mario Worlds. I mean, you're not counting Yoshi's Island, like if you're thinking
whoa, let me watch out for my chalk game. Yeah, I'm not counting Yoshi throw an egg at a question mark cloud to collect 5 star bits. I love Yoshi's Island, by the way.
It is Super Mario World 2, my friend. I mean,
Yeah, I know. Which I don't get how, but it somehow is. I mean, every other
And
Yoshi game is not.
It's a sequel, and yet the story is a prequel. How that makes sense does not make sense.
Nintendo, bro.
Yeah, classic Nintendo right there, right?
All right.
I feel like I read something about Miyamoto and how he ruined something else, and I really wish I remembered it, but I think the rage and me not caring made me forget. So that's unfortunate,
It's okay.
guys.
It's probably everything.
Yeah. He probably just walked into a game studio, and I was like, "Oh God, not again."
I really gotta make that disclaimer bumper, Matt. That like
I
when
know, I'm just egging him on.
insert does not represent the opinions of everyone.
What happened to Miyamoto, their first high-profile guest? He's like, I listen to podcasts all the time. What, Mike? Why do you hate me?
My God, this accent.
I'd be like, you ruined Mario. Oh, I did. And then boom, that's it. Insta fame.
All right. Let's get on to Unoclay. Unoclay, you're gonna vote for Henry Hadsworth, so let's get you started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Could talk for a whole episode about this game, but I'll try to keep it short. Henry Hadsworth. It's a puzzle game on DS. It's a game I fell deeply in love with. I guess it's my most favorite DS game of all time. It's a 2-screen puzzle platformer, a very unique game, and really capitalizes on the 2 screens of the DS. You play a puzzle attack, match 3 style game on the bottom screen. And on the top screen, you're doing platforming with a really comical character named Henry Hadsworth, a British gentleman. One of the primary developers of the game is a guy who ended up going on to work with people from World of Goo. I'm not 100% sure if he worked on World Goo himself, but that's the pedigree, kind of the person behind it. Really underrated DS game. Even if it doesn't advance past this round, I recommend people looking for a hidden gem of the DS catalog. It's easily one of the overlooked ones. It's really comical. It's got great writing. It doesn't overwhelm you with a story. It's just a silly story with hilarious moments, kind of Monty Python-esque humor. And really, really fun and tough as nails is what I'm told by the lesser gamers among us. I really don't find it that hard, but people tell me.
I hear you subtweeting me publicly.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
No, but that's all good. I'm just messing around. It is kind of difficult, but I love it. So that's it. Henry Hadsworth. Henry Hadsworth for president.
All right. I guess I'll go next because I might as well. And I'll start off in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so I'm probably the only of 2 people on this podcast who's played both games. And Henry Hadsworth is an interesting game. Like Unoclay just said, you have a puzzle platformer or puzzle game on the bottom, platformer on the top, and they work in tandem with each other. It is interesting, but I still have to easily give it to Super Mario World. It's easily the better platformer of the 2. And while the puzzle aspect is interesting, I don't think it's enough to offset how better of a game Super Mario World is overall. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it there.
I don't like it.
Well, too bad.
I think you missed something in the part where you were talking about Hadsworth, how it's really, really great. I feel like
No, he missed the part when he was supposed to talk about Hadsworth, and he goes, "Why is there some fake Professor Layton thing? And isn't Super Mario 64 DS in the game? So is there even a category?" And Eli's like, "Yeah, I only care about The World Ends With You DS, so I'm voting for Mike." Boom, 3-1, easy clap, boys. All right.
Oh, not even close. You got to take that stuff back. They aren't even close to each other. Layton would get his top hat smashed in by Hadsworth if they were.
All right. Let's leave.
Yeah, we don't need your British we don't need your British civil warfare. All right, freaking going on. All right, we need votes right now. That's what we need, and we need it for the superior game from the superior mind.
I believe that I have a chance to
Yes.
speak now.
Order.
Or please. All right, let's get
go.
So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go.
So I've actually also played both games. I've made it about 2 worlds through Henry Hadsworth. Sorry, I did not not yet beaten the game. It's a really interesting game. I don't think it's that incredible, Clay. But on the other hand, I also don't. Super Mario World to me is not this greatest game that a lot of other people have labeled. I think one of the main reasons I didn't grow up with it, and I only played it, when I was, God, I think the first time I played through it, I was 18 years old. So I was a lot older. And so, yes, Super Mario World is fun, but it's not, I think, as great for me as a lot of people think it is. I'm going to vote for Henry Hatsworth primarily because I was bribed into it. And so,
It was the dog.
I didn't even get part of the bribe, so please do tell me what this bribe is, because apparently mine's non-existent. Clay's bad at bribing, and he gave it to someone else.
as all politics works, I do have a vote, and I'm sure that whoever on the Twitterverse ends up breaking this tie, I imagine that they'll probably vote for the other game, but I do want to give it a chance. So I'll vote for Henry Hatsworth.
Let me give the future of what happens when Matt DMs somebody. Yo, Henry Hatsworth or Super Mario World? What?
Hey, maybe someone wants to see the world burn.
Yo, but Matt, what do you consider Mario's best platformer? Since you're not a big fan of. I'm actually just kind of curious.
I probably would put.
You.
As far as like the 2D games go, I'd probably say Super Mario World.
And then Eli, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this would open up the. I'm not as huge of a fan when it comes to the 2D Mario games. I think the 3D Mario games are really kind of some of the best in the genre, if not the best in the genre. But when it comes to the 2D games, I really like the new Super Mario Bros. Games, specifically New Super Mario Bros. On the DS.
I love that game too. I think that's a great game.
Yeah, but I think some of their 2D games don't stand up to some of the stuff like Donkey Kong and Rayman, to be honest.
And you voted Shadow of the Colossus and not Donkey Kong Country 2. It's literally the probably best platformer ever, difficulty-wise, music-wise. This. Oh God, I hate you, Eli, but I love you. GG's though.
Eli,
all right, man.
I
unqualifiedly
love you right now, Eli. I think.
Oh my God.
Hey, I voted for Super Mario Brothers too, so come on, man.
I'm hating
pretty much Henry Hatsworth is like Clay swimming on this raft in the middle of the ocean, and the raft just like kind of broke in half, and I'm like swimming up on another raft, and I just threw him another stick to keep this game afloat.
Oh my God.
You guys don't even know. My plan was the bribes, and Mike, you got a copy of it too, and it just didn't make it to him. It got lost in the mail or something. It turns out. I was hoping that that's what would happen. That Matt would be so mad, and like you two would just flip your votes and go with me, and Matt would be like banging his head on the desk.
I definitely would have played the shit out of it though.
Matt, take it to Twitter, babe.
I did. I sent one out. Jeez. I swear, if it wins.
Yeah, no, yo, then why Donkey Kong has to win in this game? You have to go back and you have to get someone who has an IQ of past 2.2, alright? And then we'll be like, oh wow, I can't believe somebody didn't vote for Diddy Kong's Conquest. And you're like, oh shit, that's a pun in itself. That makes it automatically better. By a title, not even gameplay, okay? Whatever.
Right.
Don't get how that game lost. You guys like brawl in Subspace and Missionary, whatever the hell it's called, and you guys freaking vote for that garbage. Oh gosh. Go on. Begin the podcast.
I might be the happiest I've ever been on the podcast right now.
2 short announcements. Apparently EA expects... Oh, wait, let me read this because I'm...
This is the news.
No, I'm right. No, I'm just making sure I didn't write this.
EA hates Nintendo?
So,
come on, man.
Of course they do. They expect the Switch to sell 30 million units by the end of the year. And if it doesn't, you probably won't get any EA games, or at least that'll be their excuse.
Okay. There, classic EA. They didn't hit our unrealistic goal. All right, Nintendo wants 20 million. We want 30 million.
Yeah,
like you don't.
And then they hit 40, and they're like, "Well, we didn't expect that to happen, so we're gonna have to readjust plans."
Yeah, and we didn't prepare for it,
Yeah.
so
we can't, just make it port a game or anything because it sold more than we expected. But And then the other one was just Night Trap is going to have a bunch of different language versions on it. It'll have French and Japanese voiceovers, which is really weird. I didn't even know they had that for that game. I figured it was just like in English only, but
I'm gonna guess that maybe it was released in other regions, and so maybe they're just incorporating the sound files from the other regions.
I
You know
guess
what I mean?
so, but I wouldn't have expected that it was even sold anywhere else.
Yeah, either
'Cause, like,
that.
I don't
either
think
that.
it sold well, did it?
No, I'm not sure, but I mean, actually, you know what? I think it did sell well because those games were like all the hype, even though they weren't very good. But I'm not 100% positive on that. But the other fact could be I don't know this. I'm only speculating. Remember, these were some of the first ever like DVD-ROM type experiences, and so maybe they came with alternate language files embedded in them because they were trying to be like futuristic at the time, and be like the way we expect that when we get Blu-ray DVDs or something like that. You expect to have options for how the audio is presented in movies or something like that. So either that or somebody got a real cheap paycheck like for doing sound recording for this game, like real quick overdubbing like all these scenes like with new actors. So
yeah.
Not that any of us care. Matt, you don't even speak French and you're Canadian, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly. I know all of 5 words.
No, I think Nintendo's. I mean, we all know Nintendo's pretty big in France and like other territories. So who knows? Maybe it's a good thing.
Nintendo's actually crazy big in France. You start looking at those numbers, it's like
Wait, really? I would have never guessed so.
yeah, as a proportion of the population, like you're just looking at it and you're like, man, France sold. Gosh, I don't even remember what the. I'll look it up, but it was like some crazy number of units compared to other countries that you wouldn't even expect. So in 2017 alone, France sold 1 million Nintendo Switch units, which is like really big. I mean, the unit sold how many in the year? Like 10 million units or whatever before the end of the year, 11. I don't really remember 100%, but I mean, France is just one country in Europe, which is just one of the territories, probably the smallest of the 3 territories if you count Europe, America, and Japan that they sell in. This one country is accounting for 10% of the units sold.
Yeah.
So.
No, I've always wondered about that too, Eli, because I've always noticed USA. If you take a look at USA Switch boxes, or at least I don't know, I'm actually thinking of Wii U boxes. They almost always have French text on the back as well as English, and I was
I think they have to do it because of Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, why? Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Bilingual nonsense.
I was just
Ruin
wondering
the
if
front of box arts with your
that makes
slightly
sense.
different language.
No, that makes entire sense. Because otherwise, I was like, because I was thinking it as I was saying it. I'm like, but why do they do that if they're shipping, different region games to Europe, and then why are they using the same boxes? But all right, that makes sense. Yeah, for the French-speaking Canadians for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Good on them.
I blame
So
Quebec.
no other news. That's all the.
No, there's more stuff, but Eli actually wants to talk about Runner 3. So yeah, I don't know if I said this already. We're gonna skip what we've been playing just to get onto some more interesting news and keep it fresh. But Eli had finished Runner 3 and did a review for it, so let's let him.
Yeah, and I
talk
think
about
it launches. Gosh, I think it officially launches today or yesterday, maybe yesterday. But the point is, Runner 3 is, this music platformer. Although I wouldn't say it's so much a rhythm game, but there's definitely a lot of music elements in the way the platforming happens. And I talked a little bit about it last week when we talked about difficulty in games, and I really struggled with this writing the review. I ended up giving it a 7.5 because I think it was a good game, but it really sucked because in my eyes, the difficulty made the game, was detrimental to the game. And I think this is something we can talk about in the fact that, it's literally the scenario where if they had 4 checkpoints per level, for example, instead of 2, I think the game would have been a lot better. It would have been a lot more accessible. And when you judge a game and when you review a game, and maybe this is another thing we can talk about, maybe you disagree with me on, I don't think that when you review a game that you should just expect that only the most experienced gamers will play this game. I think that you should review it with a critical eye of like, well, if a random gamer were to pick up this game, would they be able to do it? And a lot of the times games aren't marketed. If it's a game like Dark Souls, right, which is marketed to be hard, I think that's a little different because everyone knows Dark Souls is hard, and that's the way it's kind of marketed, and that's what you expect. It's got a very dark style, it's rated M, et cetera, et cetera. Runner 3 has got a very quirky, colorful style. It looks like a kid's game. A parent, it's at retail now. A parent could theoretically look at it and be like, well, this is rated E. It looks like a kid's game. Like, why wouldn't I pick it up for my kid? It's a platformer. Mm-hmm. And then that kid is probably going to get destroyed by this game. So it was really unfortunate. And ultimately, I thought the level design and the creativity in the game was really awesome. But I think the difficulty really did hinder the experience because, it took me sometimes half an hour to get through these 90-second levels. And not just me, but when I went through on the final day and I looked at, what proportion of the 80 people that were on the game early had review codes had actually beaten the game, it was something like, I don't know, like 15, 12. It was like not a substantial portion. So it was.
You would consider that a lot for a reviewer, though? 15% of them beat it, like in the short time they had it?
I mean, most of the time I would expect reviewers to get through the entire game. Why would you review a game? I mean, I would be kind of surprised if reviewers reviewed games without
fully completing it. Yeah, no. Yeah, I hear you on that. I was just, remember, you got to think about it in a commoner's aspect, like where it's like, well, all reviewers stink at games now, and every game's Dark Souls, so you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and I mean, I know that I would expect that most reviewers beat the game. And I think that's what we see in the past, but even here, it's just kind of, ultimately, I think there are only 8 reviews on Metacritic right now. So I guess a lot of people just didn't even write a review yet. Didn't meet an article or for whatever reason, or maybe everyone playing the game isn't a reviewer, that had the title early, but still. I don't know. I just wanted to introduce that for discussion because I think it's an interesting topic.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, we talked a little bit about last week that I'm a fan of the Runner series. This isn't like something at the top of my 2 playlists, given how many games we all have for our 2 playlists for Switch alone. It's the kind of game that, I could see myself buying sometime, but we those of us that have played Runner 1 and Runner 2, you definitely know you get your fill. Because I 100%ed. I think I 100%ed Runner 2. Like I definitely got close if I didn't get it all. Like I went all the way to the hardest maximum get everything levels, like trying to be completionist about the game and whatever. And that was a lot, to do. It's like 100%ing a Donkey Kong Country game. By the time you do it, you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm good on this game. Like okay, I got my fill. So it's like I'm in that place with it. Even though it's been a couple of years, I'm still like not dying to play another Runner game. If it was a Bit Trip collection like of new Bit Trip games, not just Runner, I'd be definitely more interested right now. It's a shame to hear because you're not terrible at games, and like it's a shame to hear that you're saying like that this is a really, really, really insanely difficult and like maybe an unfair way level. I mean, I felt that Runner 2 was verging on that at points because it relies a little bit on memorization and relies a little bit on like redo till you get it perfect. But I pick up what you're laying down. You're saying maybe they went a little too far on this one.
Yeah, well, and as I said, it's all about options. I think that developers, when they make their games, need to provide a swath of options for players, and then you can choose as a player how you're going to find the experience to be the most fun. And as we talked about, Runner already has mechanisms for making your game harder. You can skip your checkpoints as it is, and it'll double your score. You can play. They have a second. You can once you beat a level the first time, you can play through a second time doing a gem run, which is harder, a version of the same level. There are collectibles you can find. So there are ways that you can already make your game harder. So why wouldn't there be ways to make it easier if you need it? Like I play platformers because I just really enjoy, the smoothness of, jumping, of connecting when you're playing a level, everything kind of coming together. I don't play it because I like to die 100 times. And as Clay, you mentioned, like I play a lot of platformers. I played Ori and the Blind Forest, which was considered to be difficult by many. Donkey Kong Country, which was considered difficult by many, and I never really even found those to be particularly difficult. But I think one of the primary reasons for that is a lot of these games, either A, in Donkey Kong, you can take multiple hits before you die, or B, in games like Ori or Super Meat Boy, for example, you only have to make it perfectly through a screen, And then it reset. If you die, it's just at the beginning of that screen. They don't make you redo these giant swaths of levels. And it'd be interesting to see, like, if you had Super Meat Boy and you had to complete 5 screens perfectly at a time, people would probably think pretty differently about that game. They'd be pretty pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's funny when that's a statement when you start to say something like, I mean, Donkey Kong Country, Mike, I'm sure is like bubbling over with thought since it's one of his favorite series of all time. But like Donkey Kong Country is a relatively hard series if you're going for the 100%. It's that game is so different because it's like Runner is just hard, period. Even if you're not 100%ing, even part 2 and 1 that I played, like they're relatively hard. And DK, you can like you can fudge it if you're not going for 100%. You can just kind of run through the level and take hits, and get to the end.
Which ones you're talking about, because if you're like, I was trying to play the SNES one some time ago, and just mainly because of the platform that it's on, but some of the hitboxes you can't really tell where the end of like the grassy part is, so you'll jump too early without realizing you could go further, or go too far because it looks like it, but the hitbox isn't there. So you're
absolutely right.
For like janky reasons.
Mike's gonna want you to.
Wait, which SNES game though are we talking about? You said SNES.
I think I only have the first one
for Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I think the hitboxes are pretty easy to see off that, and especially the game is like so advanced because it allows you to do so like they go through it faster with air jumps, etc., etc. But I mean. I don't know. I mean, I personally find. I mean, DKC2 makes everything better. I'm just saying. But what do you call it? I personally find
he's the better one.
Yeah, and you get Dixie, who's actually better than Diddy. But no, but I mean, when you look at those games, also it's one hit and you're dead. But there's also multiple paths. You got to look at that. That's what makes those games so great and so much fun. Like you can think about it in the aspect of. And Donkey Kong, the very first level, everyone's played it, okay? You can go back to the house, you get a 1-up, you're like, oh, cool, and you get kind of a story. But then you could play the whole low ground, or you could play, like, the high part of the sky. If you play the high part, start jumping on trees, yes, the game forces you back in the middle, but there's 3 levels of platforming in that aspect. Yeah, like Super Mario World or Super Mario Brothers 3, it's the same thing. You could play the floor, or if you get the raccoon suit, or if you in Super Mario World you get the cape. You're like, oh man, there's more to this game than there is like on the ground. There's also some stuff in the air. I feel like sometimes in these runner games you're just doing the same thing, and that's not as fun. Like I like time attack missions sometimes, but what makes like the new Donkey Kong Country Returns fun and like the temple levels, even though they're hard, and yes, I've died a few times and I've had to do it. I'm like, okay, this is gonna happen here. This is going to happen here. This timing's going to happen that. It's a different experience and a different challenge. Everybody could go at it at a different way. That's why I've never been a big fan of runners, be it on like a system or your iPhone or whatever, because it's just like, it's not even reactionary. It's more of like, now it's robotic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it definitely is a different way of playing it.
Mike, it's funny because like we've talked a lot about Donkey Kong Country. For newer listeners, you may not realize Mike is in love with that series completely. Like definitely one of your favorites. And it's like I'd say not having played the other ones, but if they didn't change the engine, I have to agree with Matt. The hitboxes are fucking wacky in DK Country 1. Like it's like you just have to learn it, and you've like 100% of those games multiple times. So it's like you don't notice anymore.
Yeah, probably when I first played it, it's like I have like probably a biased view because I'll be like, I do remember going a few times like, what? But like I can't remember those moments anymore because like you said, I have played it so much.
Plus, you actually have to get to like a couple of levels in just to save it. It's not like,
I
you
think
get one level in to save. It's like, no, you got to beat like 3 or 4 and have enough lives.
Then get a Candy Kong can save you. But no, one thing I will admit though is the ground, not the hit. I don't think enemy hurt boxes and hitboxes are weird. I think some of the ground boxes are like
Yeah.
kind of weird. You'll be
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh, I
weird.
totally cleared that, but like Donkey Kong's foot is like a little bit underneath the ground, and you just fall right through, and you're like, that's bullshit, man.
Yeah, that's the main
I
problem.
think the enemies too. The enemies, because you have to like learn to like exactly bop them in the dead center of their sprite. Because like I don't know, I hear what you're saying. I see both sides of it, but I know exactly what Matt's saying, and it's like you just learn to compensate if you've played those games a long time. You're just like, well,
It's mainly the ground where like the grass hangs off to like an empty pit, and it's like, okay, I got to roll and jump, roll, crap, I fell into the ditch.
Well, I mean, like I said,
have a
DKC
millisecond
two,
difference.
DKC two
but-
fixed that, but it also DKC two also has a lot more vertical in the game because of Dixie's ability. Donkey Kong Country is left to right mainly.
I mean,
DKC two has got up and down like a lot. Like,
I got to say, I don't even know why you're talking about DK Country 2 because that game's out of the tournament, bro.
oh damn, bro.
Don't
Oh yeah,
even-
well, I mean, like, hey, damn. I was gonna say, isn't Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze? But it's mainly left to right with some segments that are vertical. But yeah, DKC two has a lot of vertical levels. Like, so I feel like it's kind of more compensated. And the other thing is, since Crash is coming out for the Switch real soon, and Spyro is not really a platformer; it's more of a 3D adventure. The other thing is, a lot of these platformer games have to do with spawn timing. And I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but it's basically sometimes when you go through a level as fast as it can, the enemy will always spawn in a certain area. And, you know, like, it actually, the faster you go, it's more beneficial towards you. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's like a weird thing. But, like, you do get what I'm saying, right? Like,
yeah,
you're like,
'cause
oh,
if you run through, they'll be at a certain spot, whereas if you wait a while, they'll move around and they won't.
yeah,
be.
and then you'll mess up. Yeah,
Yeah.
because, like, that's why I always yell. I'm like, yo, damn it, I hesitated. Because then when you hesitate, you die. So, like, that's what happens a lot of these platforms. But, like, there is no hesitation in runners because they're auto. And that's the one thing that doesn't intrigue me. Movement's an important thing to me, like the freedom of movement.
So to circle back to what you first started off with, like, why aren't there options to make it easier or make it less difficult, however you want to phrase it? I guess it's just developer preference of they want to make it this way, and they want the base experience to have this kind of challenge, or, you know, they want it built in this kind of way.
Eli, did Eli get to interview them yet? I mean, Eli, can you comment on that?
I sent off questions. I haven't gotten the responses yet.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting. I think and you're right. Maybe they want people to have a certain experience, and that's fine. And I tweeted about that, but ultimately that means you're going to get a worse review. Like if a studio was making a game and they're like, we want frustration and pissed off people to be, part of our experience, then I'm gonna write, well, that sucks. That's bad. I don't like that. And then I'm gonna ding them for it in their review.
I'm not sure if that's like their goal, like, oh, we want to make sure people are angry. I think it's probably more like we want to make a difficult game because that's what we're interested in, but maybe they don't realize that there are concessions you could make that would still make it difficult, but just not seem like it's frustrating and like it doesn't seem unfair. Like there's a lot of enemies in Mega Man where it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and it's like I just came out of nowhere and jumped in your face, and now you fall over into an empty pit and die. It's like that's unfair. But I mean, there's enough spots where you can like just memorize it and whatever. But like that's an example of
because like
games just make things unfair. Like
I don't think Eli
just
meant the way that it entirely came off, because like it's Eli, the way you made it sound is like I don't think you meant that, like the way it did come off a little bit, like that you're saying hard games get dinged in reviews, period, because then why would games like Dark Souls, you know what I mean, or 1001 Spikes be successful, you know, because there are people that want brutal or Meat Boy. I think you were when you were reviewing, you were saying like, well, Meat Boy has checkpoints that, even though it's brutally difficult, it's more friendly in a way or something like that. I don't know if Dark Souls is. I haven't played it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. It depends. And like in this case, it's like, would the game experience suffer if they provided the option for more checkpoints? And I don't think it would. And I think that that's something that developers should consider, especially as our medium grows to be far larger than it was before. And if you're a developer that's marketing your game in a way that's like, well, we're this like colorful, as I said earlier, this colorful game that's for children, like,
Yeah, it's
act
hard
that
to.
way.
You should be more clear about like what kind of game it is then when you
I
have.
well, I don't think runner's aimed at kids. I mean, frankly, I mean we can
I mean,
go
it's
on
probably
about
not, but I think his point is like it looks like kids something that would be suitable for kids, and then you play it and you're like, oh wow, this is not easy.
I don't know. I mean, like I'd be really curious to see if they do address anything about that in the interview you do, Eli. That definitely keep me posted because I I maybe I'm just a dick. Like, to be honest, like I'm being completely serious. Like, to me, I'm like, I kind of see their side of it because this is runner 3. This isn't runner 1. It's like, this is for the pro players, and maybe they didn't market that or make it clear. And you are 100% entitled to think it's just too hard and not fun. And you're probably right. I mean, at least for a huge percentage of people, you're going to be right. I'm really curious. I'm also curious to see if I ever get, the more we talk about it, the more I want to play it now to see, do I agree personally, or do I just am like, no, this is just like pro player level, runner. Like, they expect you to have played runner 1, runner 2, and it's like Infinity War. We're not going to bother explaining anything to you people. Like, you should already know what you're doing, and there are no checkpoints. Tough luck. We're going to just start.
Infinity War.
I just know that's what everyone's complaining about. That it's like, oh, it doesn't explain itself, and it's like, yeah, that's because you had a little bit of time, to understand it. But
I think that was a great reference, though. Like, yeah, they're like, everyone should have seen all the Marvel movies, so freaking get it.
no checkpoints, bros. No checkpoints.
And for the record, I don't think the concessions you're suggesting aren't all that bad either. Like, I think when people say, oh, add options to make it easier, a lot of people can get skittish, like, oh man, like you're just gonna sap what the game is from it or whatnot. But I mean, it's not like you're asking for 10 checkpoints and make the game less difficult as a whole. Like, I don't think checkpoints are that bad, for the record. Like, even Shovel Knight has a lot of checkpoints, but it's still difficult despite it. And you can also you can break the checkpoints. I think you said you can do that in Runner 3 to make it more difficult and things like that. So it seems like a fair trade-off. It's interesting because I kind of feel the same. I won't delve into this too long. With Henry Hatsworth, funny enough. At first, it was difficult because I didn't really know what the heck I was just trying to get used to the puzzle part of it. But then you're like, okay, I can get through this. And then you come to World 4, and it just like punches you in the teeth. And I spent way too much time on, I think it was the first level of World 4. And I just couldn't get it for whatever reason. And it probably didn't help that the 3DS is not great for playing Mega Man like platformer games, as my like thumbs were tensing up or whatever. But I don't know, it was weird because it was real. I felt it was genuinely difficult, and then I came back the next day and somehow breezed through it. However, as I'm in World 5, I don't think that's gonna fade, just because they're like, okay, now we're gonna toss you into a room with a bunch of high-level enemies, and you gotta like kill them all somehow without dying, like 17 things on screen. But I don't know. I think you can make a hard game, but also add things in it so it doesn't come off as unfair. If that makes sense.
No, that does not make sense.
How dare you, Matt?
Well, you're not the host. You're wrong. I'm right.
Oh, sit down. Sit down.
Oh, gosh.
All right. So let's get on to some news now. So the first thing, Retro apparently is working on a Star Fox racing game. It's Diddy Kong Racing mixed with F-Zero, as someone wrote. It has adventure mode, boss fights, and a hub world.
I don't believe it.
And a lot of people seem to be backing this up. And to add something else into the mix that I think is interesting is a couple of years ago, there was a rumor that Retro pitched a Star Fox and Metroid crossover. So maybe this was like a result of that. Like, oh, this idea failed, but what if we did something else weird with Star Fox? So that might add to some some
So
credence.
you
to the
think?
running.
Wait. It's an F-Zero and Star Fox, or is it
No,
a
no.
Star
It's a
Fox
Star
like
Fox.
F-Zero?
No, it's a Star Fox racing game that's they said like Diddy Kong and F-Zero.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they could throw Captain Falcon in there. It'd be cool. Everyone's a bounty hunter these days. But, I don't believe it. Rumor? I don't see it. Freaking down St. Thomas right here, down it. So
Doubting Thomas over here. I love
there
that.
we go. So Matt, any more lies you want to spit to the crowd?
Oh, I got a ton of them.
All right, then let's go on because
No.
I refuse to believe
Sure.
any of it until I see it on my video screen. You know.
I'd say like this in theory, I don't know if I love it, but like both characters like Falcon and Fox have struggled to find their way in some recent iterations, like or not so much F-Zero because
No, they haven't had any recent iterations.
it's been a minute.
But they're very cool character concepts in themselves. Like Fox Falcon and Captain Falcon, like even if you don't like play Smash, like people know Fox McCloud. You know what I'm saying? And people know Captain Falcon. Like
and they
know.
both deserve good games. And if they need to like take a minute and like do something different with those characters and just so they can say, oh well, we gave you Star Fox, we gave you Falcon in this format, even if it's not OG Fox, like which I don't think we know what we want anymore. We just want N64 Fox again and again. That's really what the world wants. And we all know that. We know that Nintendo said they don't want to just do that kind of thing. They're not into just iterative sequels on the same formulas without changing it up, especially Star Fox, which they've openly said is a kind of
I love Star Fox there. I mean, it got shitty reviews, but I loved it.
I thought I had a great time with it. It was not a perfect game, but
honestly, if you didn't get the Black R-Wing, or if you could have just sold out and got a Falco Lombardi amiibo, you'll realize how fun that game is with that. Like,
that's funny. That's
dude,
funny.
like. When I got that, I was like, "Holy shit, this game is mad fun!" Like that's what they honestly should. If that was the base R-Wing, I think people would have had a lot more fun.
This is like the moment for like newer listeners of the podcast where it's like, Mike, you come back into like people are just like, this guy's insane. Like he just hates it. And then he's like, and Star Fox Zero, by the way, was a good game. Like
Miyamoto, moron. Star Fox Zero, great.
Now, Mike, your cred is going to be all over the map with some listeners, but I agree. We fought that battle before. Matt wasn't crazy about Zero. You and I
like buy it. So.
Like, I mean, it was what it was. But I mean, anyway, to the point of the news item, it's like I wouldn't like say no. I'm not some purist where I'm like, because I've been playing F-Zero. The really only one I got into was the very first one. And then I have the GBA one that I think is pretty much just the exact same as the SNES one with worse graphics. But like, I do have a copy of GX, the one that everyone says is the best, but I got it for a present and I haven't opened it yet. It's kind of sitting on my to play eventually shelf.
I have GX.
I've heard it's one of the hardest games just on.
Yeah, it's just, dude, I don't know. I mean, I beat it and it's just like, I obviously beat it with Falcon, but it's like, I didn't truly beat it kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I like casually beat it and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like,
yeah, it's got that rep. It's like, speaking of hard games, which we've been, it's got that rep all over the place. And it's just like, oh, you want to get your eyes torn out by a video game? Go ahead and play GX, and like find out F-Zero will bleed you dry and knock you down and make you feel like crap. But I'm into it. I like that. That's the kind of relationship I'm in for, baby. But
nice.
No, but I look forward to it. But I'm not like some hardcore F-Zero. I'm much more into Star Fox. So I don't know. This rumor, this possible news, I believe Matt had been forecasting something like this in an indirect way a few episodes back.
Yeah, thanks for the.
I remember him saying something about Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, I said I thought retro.
I mean, Diddy Kong's Racing. I said Donkey Kong Country.
I thought retro might do a franchise that hasn't been around for a while if they weren't doing an IP, and I said Golden Sun and F-Zero because they're both franchises that are way past their last franchise, so it basically doesn't matter what they do with it at this point, just as long as it exists is like enough for people, so they could like do whatever the heck they want with it and it's fine. It's similar because I mean it's still a racing game, but it's also another franchise that like it doesn't really matter what you do with it because half the games are mixed or not good reviews anyway, so they can't really make give the series a worse impression on people. Put it that much.
Yeah. So Nintendo's not a big fan of like ruining their IPs, but at the same time, Star Fox Zero did not succeed. Now it was on Nintendo's arguably most lackluster platform since the Virtual Boy. So it's not a good litmus test. Would F-Zero have been more popular if it was on Switch, and maybe if they had spent more time getting those controls a little more ironed out? Because that wasn't a secret. They were struggling with how to get the control scheme to work up till publishing. That was I seem to remember news about that. It was oh yeah, the game's having some problems in development, and I think we got a version that was best we're going to do here, after we spent all this time on this game, we got to get this thing out the door, and it is hard to control. It's not the kind of game I would recommend to many people, even though I do like it. I'd be yeah, it's like Kid Icarus Uprising. Do you really love Kid Icarus? Then you'll love it. Then play it and you'll overlook it.
Yeah, I don't really think I'm tell people yo, play F-Zero. I don't think I'd ever thought that in my head.
Yeah, totally. But anyway, yeah, I'm interested. I'm curious. I want to see both those franchises return on Switch. Time's never been better for Nintendo to take another swing at some of the IPs that are in the B and C tier.
I think it's time for an HD remake of Star Fox 64. I mean, they kind of made an engine with it already. They know people like it a lot, that game in itself. It's not a very long or quick game, and I mean, in my opinion, I think that would do it some good right now. So.
Oh, I do want to add, because I want to gloat. When I pitched my F-Zero game, I was thinking a hub with different missions and things besides just racing, and apparently it's gonna have that. So that was the other big thing. It's a racing game and it has a hub world and blah blah blah. So yeah, if it's even real.
What was the source on that rumor? I don't remember. Where are we getting that info? If you said it, I apologize.
I've seen this rumor too, but
the Star Fox racing game.
Yeah.
So someone on Reddit posted it, and then basically everyone else started backing it. Eurogamer, Liam, I forget it. Liam Robinson. Liam Neeson.
That's good enough. I just wanted to remember
a bunch of other leakers. Yeah.
Because I want to believe, sort of. I just want to see those characters have. I mean, it makes 100% sense that they would do something with these IP as we head into year 3 of the Switch. I mean, you can't, Zelda and Mario are now in the back corner for at least a year for any kind of news, for anything. We
could get a 2D Zelda or a 2D Mario.
I agree. I was just going to say that, but we're not going to get news on it till
oh, yeah.
No, we're not even going to get news on it for a while.
Whoa, wait. With the news, right now, Matt, is this spoilers if I say something about, I know Yoshi is rumored to have some, remember they showed off some gameplay footage and they gave it a name, but I completely forgot what it was. With Yoshi?
No, I've heard some rumors flipping around or flipping something.
Yeah, Little Big Planet-esque, if that makes sense. I don't know what they call those dimensions. But Clay, go on. That's the only platforming news I know of, and I don't know if Yoshi counts as Mario.
To say, my point was only that these you look at beyond of
the
Nintendo,
big two.
And it's these are the games that in a year 3 when you're you're not scraping any barrel bottoms or anything like that, but you're looking for ways to fill out the launch list. Those are obviously it's not rocket science.
We're getting the big guns out of the way. You got to come up with some other weird games. And honestly, it's not even that far off from a real Star Fox game if you think about it. Because what are you doing in a Star Fox game? You're moving in a direction and shooting other things until you get to a goal point. It's probably has laps, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has checkpoints, kind of like some of the Mario Kart.
No, but that's not Star Fox-esque, man. Okay. What makes Star Fox good in that aspect is this. It's okay, if I look at Star Fox 64, if I look at the Comet level, that's casual blue route, easy level 2 in Star Fox 64. What makes it fun is not only it's chaotic arcade high score kind of thing, but the secret warps that led to it, the iconic lines, the freedom of gameplay. A racer is not Star Fox. It could have a lot of odes to the thing. And, in my opinion, I think it's going to get one of those, good, bad reactions, where it's going to be how dare you, I just call that the Wind Waker now, how dare they do this, you know what I mean? But, It's not like you can't say it's Star Fox though,
No,
man.
but I'm saying like it's similar enough that it's not like I can't even think of another example, but it's not
Yeah,
like
exactly, because it's not similar.
no,
Man.
it's
Yeah.
oh, what another game jumped the shark?
Sonic,
I don't know, but
Sonic
I-
Sega All Star Racing.
No, but I'm thinking like it's not like Paper Mario where it's like you have this RPG and then the next one is like there's basically no RPG elements or something. It's not like it's that drastic. It's like you're still flying, you're still shooting. Uh, they could always
Fair.
put branching paths in a racer. I mean, they've done that before. So that
Yeah, I
I'm
get what
sure
you're
that would
saying.
be part of it too, because that's part of Star Fox, and they want to keep that to it. The only difference is like you're fighting other people, but I don't know. I'm sure they could make it interesting, or probably longer if they're adding like a hub world and
I have
everything.
a question.
Because I think that's also probably part of the problem. I'll let you get your question in a sec.
Cool.
I think part of the problem is also like, here's a $60 game. It's like 5 hours. It's like, sure, you can rebeat it for a higher score, but how many people care about high scores like nowadays versus, if you have a kart racer, you can
Put
I
your
guess
best laps. Yeah. You can put
Like
your
you
best
can-
laps with the Mario
like you
Kart
can
Ghost.
play
But
online
Matt,
with
I'm
people
gonna
or-
counter you.
or have
I'm gonna
missions
counter you.
and stuff.
People care about high scores. Super Mario Odyssey, huh? Jump rope challenge and beach volleyball challenge. That's right. That's
I mean,
right.
just because it's there doesn't mean people are like care that much about it. Like, I don't think people.
Why
are
are there leaderboards
put
for
it-
it, and
put-
why do people
yeah, but-
want to get
hold on a
9,999?
sec. People aren't going back to playing Odyssey like, oh man, I gotta beat that jump rope score today. It's like that's like Star Fox is half the game is just replaying it. Super Mario Odyssey is like the whole game is exploring and trying to find different moons, and that's just like one of many. I don't think it's a fair comparison, but maybe the balloon challenge if you want to put that. But
All right.
I think it'd be interesting.
All right. Well, all right. Here goes back to my question I was gonna ask.
Okay.
It's kind of E3 and it's kind of Nintendo-y. So Clay said, let's count out the big two of Mario and Zelda, right? So I want to ask about. I want to ask about Donkey Kong. Well, we already have a Kirby, so we can't ask about that. Chances of us getting a Metroid Prime 4 gameplay, and let's see, Donkey Kong, Metroid Prime. You already answered the Star Fox one, and then anything about. I don't count Pokemon, but I would have to ask.
Well, we'll
You know
get to
what I mean? Out of
Pokemon
those-
after, but
Okay, but out of those, the two I asked, I have Donkey Kong and I forget already the other one.
I did.
Yeah. Oh, rip.
Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, that's
gameplay.
it. Yeah. Which do you think would be more likely we'd see at E3?
Well, let's pass it off to Eli if he has anything to say. Do you have anything to say on the matter, or do you anything you want to say?
I was not listening. I waited out.
Do you think-
What do you think's more likely we'll see in June? Some Donkey Kong stuff or Prime 4?
Oh, Prime. Obvious. I mean, Donkey Kong just had a game.
No, that you know that's not a game.
Yeah,
Come on.
But, well, that's true, but there would have needed to be a studio that was working on Donkey Kong also. So I think it's far more likely that we're going to see Metroid, especially since Metroid's announced. One of those two games is announced and the other is not.
Touche.
Also, I would prefer to see Donkey Kong, but yeah.
All right.
Wow, those are
Fair.
mean comments, Matt. That is not
hey,
true.
that's Unoclay. You just sound tired. Yeah, I kind of agree with Eli. Like they just, even though it's a port of a Donkey Kong game, I don't think they're going to be like, here's a port, which is new for basically everyone, and then say like, here's another game. I think they'd probably space it out even if they had another game. I don't know if we'll see Metroid Prime 4 gameplay because they've only shown us a logo, and honestly, I think it's not coming out till like, when did they show it off last year? 2017. I don't think
You're
it's
calling
coming out
20. You're
until-
calling 2019.
I don't think it's coming out till like 2020. So maybe E3 2019 they'll like actually show something. Maybe they'll do a CGI trailer this year, but they like
That's
to
what I was
keep
gonna say.
things
Maybe
within,
screenshots or something, but
I don't know. They seem to like to show something within the next 6 months or like a year, and I don't think that's coming out until like 2020. So I think they'll probably hold on to that till next E3 and then be like, this is our big game for the show, because they've been doing that recently. They had I forget what happened before, but there was Zelda, which took up like the main show. That was like their main game for E3. Was that last year or was that the year before? I don't remember. But then this year is Smash Brothers, which, I mean, they have other games coming too, but like that's their huge game, I guess you could say, for this year. So I could see Metroid being like their huge game next year.
You don't need to say that Smash Brothers is their huge game this year. Smash Brothers is the huge game. It was like the
I
way
know,
you
but I
qualify.
mean like the one that people will focus on. That they'll focus on for E3.
It needs no qualifier in any case.
No, it needs a qualifier. It needs not Bayonetta and not Cloud. That's a qualifier right there.
Nice. Well, that's
Hey, when's your garbage Bayo 3 coming? That's probably gonna be shown at E3.
I feel bad.
I don't know
Like,
how far it is off. Actually,
I keep picking up my copy of Bayo 2 because I only played one, and like I want to play it, but there's so much else to play, and I have to go back to my Wii U to play it. And I still like my Wii U. I still turn it on almost every day to do Wii Fit, but it's really hard when I sit down for my gaming in the evening to be like, all right, I'm going to sit here and play Wii U. Like, there's just, you know how it is. Like, even as a fan, I'm like,
Yeah. I don't even do that. Like, I want to play my Wii U, and then I just go, eh. Like at least the GameCube I could go back to. The Wii U, I'm just like, eesh.
It's weird because it's like I have a whole unplayed, to Mike, Bayonetta isn't a good game, but to me, I love Bayonetta 1 and I want to play the second one, but I don't want to pay for it again on Switch. And so it's like, got to play the copy I have in a limited edition that Mike helped me get of the 1 and 2 collection that I got laying there that like, eventually I'll get to it. I gotta really force myself to do it. I have the same problem we all have all the time, too many games to play. And so anytime it always has competition and it always loses because of that one factor that I'm like, it's on the Wii U and I'll have to stay in that room and play it in that room. And now I've gotten accustomed to my Switch, just like everyone else is, and can't go take it around the house or move the dock very easily or anything like that. I gotta definitely play it in the living room within 4.5 feet of the console. But,
Dude, I will always be proud of that Bayo 2 snag, dude. That'll always be a thing. I would just be like, I just remember it. I was like, because I was looking for it because you guys said it was rare, and I'm like, there's only one man who lives near that. Because like I put that shit to like 100-mile radius to where I was. And GameStop's like, bitch, you ain't going out here.
It probably will not end up being the rarest Wii U game because it'll be some like obscure dumbass game like nobody ever heard of or what.
Oh yeah, like babies versus zombies, and you're like, well, duh, like there's only 2 made because freaking Jimmy funded it.
But it's gonna. I have a feeling it'll be up there to have the 1 and 2 collection like in one box. Like that'll be a thing. If anybody's ever collected for Wii U, at least that'll be pretty sweet to have that in the collection. So once again, thank you. But yeah.
All right, Matt, go on to the big news about Game Freak.
Yeah, so this is weird. A Pokemon game was... it's rumored that the Pokemon game on Switch is actually going to be a remake of Yellow, and there's going to be 2 versions, which is weird because Yellow was the 3rd version. But it's going to be based on Pikachu and Eevee are going to be like the different Pokemon for each game, which is interesting.
I think Gary had an Eevee in the anime.
Yeah,
because remember, Yellow is based off the anime. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Ash has the Pikachu and Gary has the Eevee. But yeah, it's basically like all but confirmed at this point. Like time-wise, it makes more sense that there's a remake because they make games like new generations like every 3 years, and this would only be 2. So that's why I've always been iffy on that. And apparently like Junichi Masuda, he's like the producer or whatever, has teased it, and he's teased like all the other games before they've been revealed. And there's a couple of pictures of him with like Pikachu and Eevee, And there's a lot of like merchandising where there's like Pikachu, Eevee beside all the Pikachu stuff and whatnot. So they're definitely like already preparing for it and whatnot.
That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know it was a remake of the original one. I thought they were just going back to Kanto.
Well, I mean,
I have
they
one
are.
question about it though. If they're going back to the regular area, are they doing all 700 guys, or are they just gonna limit it to like gold, silver Pokemon? Or
No, actually, so I just found that out. That was just someone said that today. They're apparently only going to be focusing on the original 151.
ooh,
Yeah.
maybe they're remaking the whole engine, so they don't want to make 700 different models and different attack things and all that. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way it's gonna be like.
do that because I think they
Really?
just transport like the characters and animations. I was actually talking about this when I did a podcast on a short one on Pokemon. And one of the guys, the cartoon gamer, he's really knowledgeable on Pokemon, brought up like some moves from like in the 3D games now were pulled from like Pokemon Stadium. So they've definitely like carried stuff over throughout the years. So I don't know if they would make new
I never
models.
thought about that. That's pretty cool.
And in
That's what I'm saying, though. It's not going to be Pokemon Stadium-esque 3D model. You know what I mean? Like, that's a terrible comparison because that's an old game. But you know what I mean? Like it's not going to be like that when you get into a battle. You think it's still going to be like Omega, something Ultra Sun. I forgot the name of the game. Yeah, it's going to be that on your Switch.
oh yeah, like I don't think they're gonna go back to 2D or anything.
So, okay.
Like, even the models in Sun and Moon, I believe, are made to work in like 4K resolution. Like some
I didn't know
modders
that.
worked it up. I believe that's the case. So like they can basically scale it up, so it'll be fine. I'm sure they'll like tweak some things too. But anyway, yeah. Apparently, it's going to focus on the original ones. The HMs are going to be replaced by Pokemon Ride, so that's good at least because that's kind of garbage now. Red and Blue will play a role in the story, and you're going to be a new trainer, so that'll be interesting. And apparently, there's going to be Pokemon Go integration, so there's going to be like rewards that you can link between the two games, an accessory that works between them two, and apparently, like throwing Pokeballs is going to work the same or similar, which is weird. So I
It's the
guess
same
you,
as Pokemon Go?
yeah, I guess you like
Gross.
throw it with the touchscreen or motion controls.
Gross.
How dare you, Matt?
I'm very like from what I'm hearing so far, I've got very mixed feelings on the game.
Go for it.
Like, what?
No, I'm just saying, go for it.
Yeah. Give us those feelings.
I mean, it isn't. It's just like I'm very. I guess I need to see it. The trailer to really get sold on it. But I'd love to go back to Kanto and I love to see it reimagining that they're thinking up. But I just don't like how these it seems like a dumbing down. And I know I just complained about difficult games, but Pokemon is not a difficult game. You don't need to dumb it down more. And it seems like a lot of what they're doing is kind of like trying to. I think they saw Pokemon Go successful and they're like, well, all right, guys, let's just implement a bunch of these mechanics and do a regular Switch game. And it'll sell to the masses. And it's like, well, don't. Stop.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, if they're looking at those Pokemon Go numbers, then they'll be like, oh, wait, wow, it's, what's the best way to say it? It's life cycle? It's, retention rate? I can't think of the correct term for it right now, but it's pretty bad. I mean, yes,
Well,
people played it, but the
Apparently,
thing is,
people are still playing it.
yeah, but not at the same rate that it was for the first 2 months.
I'm
You know
not
what I mean? It was like a 90% drop off or something,
Not
which
even-
is okay. 90% of like, let's say,
It's like
10
quarter of a
million.
billion.
Yeah, but billion is like, oh man, these are still amazing numbers. No shit, we're talking about a billion, all right? But that's the aspect
I saw
Like-
something really comical on that front this weekend. I don't see that many people playing it anymore either around the city here where I live. But this weekend I was walking and I saw 3 dudes that they probably would be classified as punks, like punk rocker types. And they all had their phones out and they were swiping all like crazy that I know is the sign that you're playing. Like they're all standing in a circle on a street corner, swiping like crazy. And I got a glimpse of one of their screens and they were definitely playing Pokemon Go. And I was like,
Yeah.
it was a real funny look for like some hardcore looking dudes to be like on, oh, that's still a thing. Even those weirdos are still playing it. It's great. It was great.
Dude, I agree on that. Like sometimes I feel like that too, and it's like, hey, like I'll get a notification like there's a huge raid going on near you. I'm like, the hell, there is? You know what I mean? Like I'll bother to look just to see, just to see like I don't know, just X legendary Pokemon, like, either or Zapdos or something, and it'll be like, okay, wow, there's people there who are actually playing this right now. But at the same time, it's like. Like like Eli said before, the game's already simple enough, and like to implement things like Pokemon Go-esque is not really cool. Like, I mean, I thought we were all kind of hoping for like, hey, even if they were gonna remake, just say I'm gonna call it a reboot, not even a remake. They were gonna reboot Pokemon. You're gonna go back to Kanto on your Switch, but now it's gonna be home console style. That's what I thought like would be, you know what I mean? Not these kind of integrations. If that makes sense.
It only says catching Pokemon will work like Go. It doesn't say anything about battles. So I think the battles are probably
I don't
fine.
want to touch my screen with my sweaty paws.
I know.
Right?
We'll see if... Well, maybe you can turn it off. I kind of doubt it. It's weird because it makes more sense in Pokemon Go because there's only one ball type, I believe. How you throw changes up... like how likely you are to catch it versus Pokemon, like there's 17 different types of balls and you just buy a different type of ball for whatever situation. So that'd be weird to have like, let's say the quick ball has a 4 times multiplier, but if you throw it crappily, like you might ruin that. So it's like, that's weird how that works. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I'm not really fond of going back to Gen 1 personally. I don't know.
How dare you?
To be fair, I don't even care about whatever the next remake was. I think it's like Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
The next one.
Oh, I would have loved to play that.
That's Matt Eli's OG game, isn't it?
My what?
No, your OG is Ruby out Sapphire, right?
No. My first game was Fire Red, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not
There you
that young, okay?
Eli was born 3 years ago.
When are they gonna remake Yu-Gi-Oh, bro?
Oh,
right?
man.
No, but fair. I don't know. I mean, look. In my opinion, I think it's also smart because a lot of people who were PS4, Xbox people are Switch people now, and they're I don't want to say they're plebeians, but they're drones, and that's like the Pokemon they know. You know what I mean? Like for me, like I mean, nothing will ever beat what's the one? Heart Gold, Soul Silver, because I had both generations that I really loved, and then it added all the new ones so I could get like integrated with them. But yeah, I mean, those people were the ones who were like, oh, Pokemon's lame after playing it like 30 days before. You know what I mean? So maybe it'll recapture or rekindle their fire to play the Pokemans.
Yeah. I mean, it's as much as I would rather have something else, like there's no doubt it's the smarter of the moves to be like, here, the first game, on the first Pokemon game on Switch, and it's not even that far into its life, is like a remake of the original, which most people who have like stopped playing at least remember when Pokemon Go is still going around. So it's like you can still cash in on that nostalgia, and it's just gonna like, I think, go and do insane as far as sales are concerned. Like, oh my gosh, you can play the original game on this, and it's all 3D and blah blah blah.
Yeah, like, they're remaking Pokemon Yellow is my favorite. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, I'm gonna give it a shot. I usually give all the Pokemon games like another shot. But I've been disappointed like 5 times in a row. So let's see if they can do it on a generation that hasn't disappointed me yet.
Yeah, and for reference, Fire Red and Leaf Green, which were remakes of the original game, came out 14 years ago, and they were 2D. So definitely enough time has passed for people to get interested again. And I mean, I don't think Pokemon Go would have like been like, oh, I got my fill or whatever, because I mean, everyone played it, sure, but it's like, oh, now you can like actually battle versus Pokemon Go, which you have to like go to a separate gym for, so you don't really battle all that much and blah blah blah. So I think it'd be insane. Eli says he's got to head out, so let him head out.
All right, Eli.
I'm still in the LSAT studying phase here, so
he doesn't know regular words. He's just so much. He's LSAT so much.
Yeah, Oh, it's getting bad. I took a practice LSAT yesterday. It was actually the best score I've gotten so far. But it was really weird because I thought I was doing terribly. Like it's at the point where like if I know I got one of the questions wrong, I'm like, that's it. Time to throw this exam out. Like,
First question. Ah, damn it. You just handed your pencils right to the security guard. You're like, I'm done, man.
How long does it take to do one of the practice tests?
3 hours?
There's 5 sections. Each one is it's about 40 minutes, so that's 200. So like 3.5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
But the full exam is actually 6 sections, so it's because there's a writing section, so it's even longer.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of a pain. And right now I'm doing about 3 sections. I do a practice test like once every 5-ish days, 5-6 days, and then all the other days I usually do about 3 sections. But really the time sink is then like going through and reviewing and checking all the answers and being sad because I didn't do that well, that sort of stuff.
Yo, is it? Are you doing it through Kaplan, through the school, or?
No, so I'm doing a study, like an online study program, because I like the self-paced nature, and it's like it kind of like varies the difficulty to your level, which is really nice. So it's adaptive.
Nice.
Yeah, and I just don't really like kind of doing the standard Kaplan stuff like everyone else does.
I just wondered.
Because I'm a hipster when it comes to LSAT studying,
Yeah, of course, man.
If I'm picking up your review of this LSAT, it's like needs more checkpoints, a little too hard.
Yeah, make sure you talk to the LSAT developers.
Now, I actually like if it weren't for the fact that the time limit makes the LSAT a little bit of a pain, but if it weren't for the time limit, I would probably actually enjoy taking the LSAT because it really makes you think. It's not like a knowledge test; it's kind of like a skills-based test.
If people didn't know what an LSAT is, that would still sound like a game with you're like time attacks.
Yeah, I love that he's giving a real review now, like his Metacritic real review. He's like, actually, if they would only change this one thing, it would be beautiful.
LSAT, 8 out of 10.
Oh, I hope you get an 8 out of 10. That's a pretty good score. That's
would
great.
take. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later.
Yo, LSAT.
Good stuff. Only if it comes to Switch, though. All right.
All right, have a good one.
Great. All right.
And Mike is dead, I guess.
Mike?
Yeah, he
Mike
cut out, and then he came back in to say like one word and got cut out.
Might be dropping. Well, that leaves us room to talk about a game he won't care about at all. I bet that's all I'm here.
So we'll do this as the last one. You probably want to talk about this because it's a game you've been wanting to come over. So apparently, at least in Japan, Resident Evil 7 is going to come to the Switch, but through cloud streaming. And how it works is basically you pay $20 and you can rent it for like 6 months.
Yeah. So the news broke. You were the one that turned me on to it, and then right away, everyone has the same exact questions that we and you and I both immediately ping pong back and forth. That even if the game has English dialogue in it, is the text in the game? Is any written text? Is it going to be Japanese script? Is it going to get ported officially to the U.S. territories to like adjust for any of that item? Because I, like most other Americans, can't read any Japanese, and that I don't have any qualms about the whole renting it, via this like season pass type idea, whatever that they're doing, the cloud stream that you get like to play it for a few hours, then you have to pay to play. I have no qualms about that. It's not my ideal situation. Like I'm like everyone else. I'd like to own it, if I'm going to pay for it. But $20, actually, there's a real silver lining to that. Like if the game is only $20, like that's a really big discount for a AAA game, and I can live with that. Like to be honest with you, that price point is a great trade-off. If it was $40, not a great trade-off. Like if it was,
but it's an old game already, dude. I mean, there's already DLC out for it. Like, I mean, what is it, 2 years old or a year old already?
I'm
like
talking to a guy who was playing Yoshi's Island like bonus levels last night. So like, game's old.
No, I'm just saying though. Like you're saying, even if it was 40, that'd still be a deal per se. It's only like I mean, it is a AAA game, and it didn't just come out. Like, I mean, I remember playing that at Comic-Con when PSVR was not even out yet.
Right.
But I don't know. I like it. I mean, is the cloud streaming thing? You said it's not a Nintendo thing, so that's a third party thing, right? Like, what is that? Like, is there going to be other games and other stuff with that, or?
I'm guessing it's like on Capcom's end.
It's
Like
Capcom.
they're doing
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's Capcom
It's not like
trying.
Nintendo opening like a cloud service and this is like the first game. It's more like Capcom is just doing
Capcom's
this.
got something going. All right.
Yeah,
But I mean, that opens up a possibility for Nintendo Cloud PC.
and it opens up the possibility if Cap, like a lot of people have been speculating, Capcom's trying something out here, and like if this is them testing the waters with a AAA game to see if people are into it, I think that's a great idea, because this isn't like what was it when Switch launched? Who was it? Oh, Bomberman or something like
Yeah,
what was
Konami.
it?
It was, but Bomberman did well, actually.
Yeah, right. And that's because it was like one of like 4 games, or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you can play 1-2 Switch, and I was like, no, I want to play a game for more than a minute,
No, I just like I'm down. I mean, I am an unabashed like fan of Resident Evil's goofiness. Like I love it. I have a love-hate with it. I haven't played 5 and 6 because they didn't come to Nintendo consoles, but I've heard they weren't the greatest ones, so I'm not crying
don't beat
about
yourself about it.
Yeah,
lots of steroid Chris.
Oh yeah,
Hey, man, it's all
Yeah.
Chris works out. Don't be jealous.
Shove up.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not worried about it. And I heard 7 is a really great return to like horror for the series. I've heard it's worthy. I have talked to you guys a lot in the past about how I actually get anxiety from playing horror games, but I love them. It's like I literally have headaches and like nightmares from them, but like I can't help it. It's like, a love-hate. It truly is. Like where I'm like, oh, I got to see what happens. And I'm totally clenching my jaw the whole time I'm playing it. And I walk away with like this horrible headache because I'm just like so tense the whole time I'm playing them. But I'm like, even for a goofy horror game like RE, like, and I get the impression that this new one is actually pretty scary.
It's okay. Here's the scary thing. So
No spoilers.
Billy, my best friend, he got into the exclusive PSVR one. He literally asked the guy, "Hey, can you stop? I'm too scared." While he did it in like VR kind of thing. Like he like walked out. Like he couldn't do it anymore.
I would never want to try it. I honestly mean it. Like I would probably like I could imagine. I don't do stuff like this. I could imagine myself like throwing up in public or something.
I mean, I did the VR thing too, but I had one of the non-simulation experiences. I had the simulation one. Billy had the play in the PSVR, and he got like in the exclusive line. Like he got pulled out of the line, and he stopped halfway. He's like, I couldn't do it. He's like, I got mad scared. I was like, you bitch. But
it looks terrifying when you like watch the screenshots of the game. I mean, did you play it?
I have played it. I know, like, I think I don't remember beating it. I do remember the end because my other best friend and my younger brother's best friend, they played it together. So I remember, I do remember talking about it a lot. But I played the beginning of it.
You would say it's scary, right? It's not.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely scary. I mean, for me, I'm more of a. Let's see. For me, I mean, I liked Resident Evil 2, but I'm not a horror guy, so I'm all like,
of course,
I'm not like a, what the hell's the word for it? I'm not a horror enthusiast. I mean, the scariest things I'll do are like the horror visual novels,
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I'm a big bitch when it comes to it. If that's the nice way to
you're not to tangent too far, but isn't it strongly rumored, if not confirmed, that 2 is getting an HD remake?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah, dude, I heard about that. Yeah,
that was like
that one I'm excited
years
for because
ago.
1 got a remake, didn't it? Didn't the original get a remake?
One had a remake years and years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they were trying. You know why? Because
They announced
fans were
it,
trying to
and they
remake
still
number 2 in HD, and then I think they got picked up, and now they're trying. Like Capcom is like, they're like, oh, let's do it. I'm like, 2 was my entry into it. So.
Me too. I can remember playing that on my N64 and like being scared at night and turning off the system, like because I was playing it by myself. Like I'm like never having played a horror game before, just being like, this is fucking freaky, man. Like like those camera angles and stuff. You're just like, oh my god, I don't want to go around this corner, that kind of stuff. So, I Matt, to the news item, I'm all for it. Are you? What do you guys? I mean, Mike sounds like he's positive to the cloud idea. Like, is it not your type of game, so you don't care, or what?
I mean, I'm not gonna get it, but I think it's a cool idea. That's what I'm saying for the Switch. I think it's just a great idea for Nintendo in itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think most people would agree with that. The only people that I could imagine being really not down with this are people that are purists that are like, they do not want to rent a game, they want to buy it. And you're not.
That's the thing too. Like, it's not even like a digital purchase. It's like you can't even like buy it and keep it on your console. And if the servers run out, at least you have it installed. It's like you don't own it at all. Like if the servers shut down, and you also have to have a good internet connection because you're streaming it too. I'm not sure exactly how it's. Streaming games is also like a whole other thing. It'll depend on your connection. It should be fine because I mean, like, you're in a small house and you don't have you're not playing Dynasty Warriors basically, so I would think you'd be able to run it, but you still have to make sure you can actually run it.
I don't think that's a problem. I mean,
probably not.
People were raising the concern that the Switch is a quote portable console, and I hear that complaint. Maybe I'm just being an apologist here. Like, honestly, like, I want to play the game so much that I'll just endure it. Like, like whatever they're saying. But to me, that doesn't matter because I do 80% of my Switch gaming at the house, and I have Fios, so I'm in a real like easy situation to like be like, yeah, this is fine. I don't care. Like I'll play it when I'm at home. It's like it's not like I need to take it on the go. It's not like I want to be peeing my pants in public when I'm playing a horror game anyway. So,
Yeah, I think that's.
He's got that fiber optics, Matt. You just don't get it.
Yeah. No, but I mean, those are fair concerns. There are plenty of people in America that do not have good internet. I mean, that's always a news story that it's like tons of sections of the country have like crappy internet still. Like in this day. To be fair,
this is also just listed for Japan, so it either A, may not even come over here at all, or B, come over here and it's a digital download. Because Japan also does their own things. But yeah, assuming it comes over, or if you just buy it through the Japanese eShop.
I was going to say, can't we buy it through now that is the question. If this is a cloud service, is it going to not work if you try to buy it through the Japanese eShop and you're not in Japan? You see what I'm saying? Like, because this is a different.
Yeah, you said this before. Like, you don't know Japanese like most Americans, obviously. So,
as far as no, he's saying like, could you, like, literally actually
use server not let you play the game because you're not in the right territory? Like, just.
I don't think that's a problem because the whole point is like it's region free, so you can just get a different account, and then when you go through the account, it's like, okay, this is a Japanese account.
Games, though. Like, that's for buying a game one time, one shot. You're not streaming a server like you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, streaming is just your connection connecting to another computer. I don't think it's going to be like your connection isn't in Japan, so no way, Jose. It's probably like you can't gain access until you purchase it, and to purchase it, you'd have to have a Japanese account.
Let me ask you this:
like, I'm sure someone will figure it out and try it anyway.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Like, I mean, like,
so we'll just get an answer.
If you buy Splatoon right now through the Japanese eShop, and you log in with your Japanese avatar, can you play region Japan as Splatoon? You know what I'm saying? Like not a way to test it.
I mean, that's technically no.
I think yes, because it's going to read that the account you're using is Japanese and connects you to the Japanese servers, because that's the only way it like actually connects to those servers. Otherwise, it would just connect you to whoever, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only way it can like delineate.
Well, yeah, Matt, think about it in this aspect. You have your Splatoon, right? And you go to your Japanese account. Just because you own American Splatoon does not mean you own Splatoon in your Japanese account. You know what I mean?
Okay, now you're confusing.
If that makes sense.
No. I'm just going to stop you there before it becomes a confusing mess. Not to be mean. But I think it's just like, as long as you have an account, it'll connect you to the right thing, because that's really what it's checking. It's not like actually checking where you are geographically.
I hope you're right, because like I would jump through that hoop if you're right, like when it debuts. And like you said, hopefully we'll get more information on this soon. Capcom will clarify. Yes, it's coming west. No, it's not. Yes, you can buy it on the job. Maybe they'll clarify that, or maybe we'll have to wait till launch day and then look for the websites to review that and tell us, like, yeah, it's working. You can play it. It's spotty, whatever, like something like that, get a report, like whether it's worth it or not. Like $20 is $20, big deal, but I want to be able to play it. So it was big news for me, because you guys, anyone who's been listening to the show for a while has heard me say before, if I had my wish, like there are a few series I would love to see on Switch, and RE is always one of the top ones. I wanted to come back home to Nintendo, and well, I guess come back home is a little bit of a misnomer. I guess technically it was originally on Sony, but I wanted to come back to Nintendo. Let's leave it at that. You know,
Yeah.
it was another. So.
And just to add some other things into the mix, so while you and Mike were talking, I was looking up some details, and this this version of the game on Switch does include the DLC, banned footage 1 and 2, End of Zoe, and Not a Hero, whatever those mean to people. So it does have the DLC, and I couldn't find how much it costs in Japan, but at the very least for North America, if you buy the edition with the DLC, or at least that's what I'm assuming the gold edition is compared to the other version, the one with the DLC is $40 versus this pass is $20, and you have access to all of it. So you're basically getting all of the content for half the price, which is pretty good.
That's great, and that sounds like they're trying to mitigate the cost concerns because you're buying something but you're not buying it.
Yeah.
So I feel like them trying to throw every bone they can toward you to get you to be in on this and not hate on it and be like, you know, yes, you don't own it. Yes, in 6 months your $20 expires, but in the meantime, you get over $60 worth of content. You know, like trying to really get ahead of that like internet hate. You know, that can come around for stuff like this. You know, where it's like this is as good a deal as it gets. You know, like
and compared to like PS Now that does game streaming, I think I haven't checked, so I'm willing to admit I could be incredibly wrong, but at least when it opened, they had very a wide range of weird prices. Some I think were as high as $10 or $15, and I think you could like rent it for a week or maybe a month, and this is 6 months, so like that also helps too. I mean, I don't think it's a very long game to begin with, but you get more time for it, and it costs less than, you know, buying it yourself. I did look up language options, and I could only find people changing it on the PC. So I don't know how the console versions compare. I would like to think it still has them, but yeah, you can change it to whatever language you want, either text or voice. So they have a bunch of different options. Whether this one includes it, I don't know. I would assume it's the same as whatever the console ones do. I can only find the PC one as reference, but I mean, it's there. I'm pretty sure it'd probably be in all of them. So you might be able to, in fact, buy it on, you know, the Japanese eShop and then just change the language and be completely fine.
Yeah.
It also lets you play it 15 minutes for free, if that makes a difference.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. I forgot that they're going to give the free demo because we can all test it that way and see if it works. Like, and say, okay, it's working. I jumped through the hoop of getting a Japanese account. I jumped through the hoop of
yeah, I probably should have started off with that. I forgot. Yeah, because that can mitigate a lot of problems. Like, you're right. If it streams well in the first place, or
then we can all. I mean, like, and we still don't know. I not having played it, Mike. I don't know if you remember. Like, is there visual text in English on the screen? It doesn't sound like you played a ton of it. And I mean, like, you know, voice acting is more prevalent in RE than there is on-screen text anymore. So maybe there isn't even on-screen text, but I don't know about your inventories and things like
subtitles.
That. You know, like, is that gonna be even a problem? Like, you know, is there gonna be a language barrier, like just for menus or just for items or just for inventory? Would you be stuck because you'd be like, oh crap, I can't read? Like, because like classic RE, I haven't played a modern one, like the most modern ones, but classic RE always has clues that you're collecting in your inventory and like bits of the story, like carrying around like different things that you find, or like a notebook where you're like collecting clues. And if that's all in Japanese, you're definitely losing out on part of the experience. It wouldn't be a deal breaker for me as long as I know I could finish the game, and I could always look at facts, like if I had to like get hints if I was getting stuck, because I do play Japanese NES games and stuff, like, but it's not ideal for a modern game. I would say that, you know, I so many questions, not a lot of answers. I think we pretty much beat that into the ground at this point. Like, you know, but yeah, it's promising sign, at least, I'd say. So, yeah. Any other news, ma'am?
No, I think we'll about wrap it up there. So, thanks for listening. You can find me at the Mango Viking on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Source Gaming. And Mike, where can people find you?
Hi guys, you can find me at TroyFB7 on Twitter, or Troy Fullbuster on Twitch, and Gamin Live on YouTube. Thank you.
Cool.
You're welcome.
So courteous. And always at the end of the show, after people rage quit after hearing him yell so much.
On stage for the nice mic. They just grab a mic. Like, thank you. Good night.
Yeah. All right, Unoclay, where can people find you?
Oh, I've been putting up videos at my new YouTube channel, which is Unoclay Gaming, and I tweet silly screenshots from Legend of Zelda and other Switch games at Unoclay_Switch. So you can check me out there.
Yep, and maybe and sending inappropriate Labo projects to Nintendo.
Oh yeah, my Labo project got flagged. I should redo the video and take out the words ball slapper and cock slapper, cock ring, cock dicker, cock fucker, like everything we yelled at each other throughout the whole video. I'd have to go through and like bleep everything, and then they're still not going to use it because they'd be like, we still don't want it with the bleeps, This is still inappropriate. Yep, that's a bummer. But what are you going to do? I didn't really expect to win anything. It wasn't that creative, so it was just more like, hey, I'll submit it because I can. That's it. Yeah, so don't forget, if you're listening to this far into the podcast and you don't know and you have a Labo kit, if you make a Labo or you decorate a Labo in a unique way, you should submit it to Nintendo. They're having a contest. It's still open, I think, as of now, where you could possibly, I guess, win a prize or get some cred from Nintendo for being a cool Labo maker. Unfortunately, I am not cool enough because I like swearing. A lot of fucking swears, bro.
So. Nice. All right, so wherever you're listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on pretty much every platform on the internet. Hit us up with your questions, or if you're interested in being a guest at Just Another Castle. So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo.
Come back anytime.